Hi, welcome to Psychic Girls Next Door. We are your hosts, Shannon Miller
and Lili, and this podcast is for all spirituality enthusiasts and psychics next door to share tools, experiences, and spiritual practices that align with your highest vibrational self. And today, our episode, we are going to do our wrap-up for 2023.
Woohoo!
All right.
A whole other year down.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it's been quite the year in so many different ways.
My God, yeah. So we just want to reflect on the year that it's coming to an end and share with you guys what have we learned, what was the theme around this year, and what we're hoping.
Yeah, for next year.
For next year, which is right around the corner, because by the time you're listening to this, it will probably be around the holidays for majority of people, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this will also inspire you to self-reflect. Mm-hmm. And what has, what came through this year, what have you also learned? And then hopefully it will inspire you to also, set the tone for what's to come.
Yeah.
But how was your year?
Wild and chaotic, I would say.
Same.
Yeah, I would say I think a lot of my year consisted of working in a toxic work environment and then being around those people and traveling with those people and then just not feeling safe around those people, and a lot of them were men. And I actually had a reading from our friend Erica on Monday, and this kind of ties into that, just kind of residual residue from that experience, and also just past life experiences of not feeling like I can be my true authentic self around men in general for safety reasons. And I feel like I recently cleaned that out, and I'm what a great way to end the year of cleaning out a belief that no longer serves me, and programming decluttering. Yeah, I would say that this year has been I feel like it's almost been a waiting room year of I've been waiting for not for my life to start, because that sounds so cheesy and dramatic, but I feel going into this next year, I feel like I'm going to just do a lot more things for myself and have my creative projects kind of spring up and get off the ground and actually become a real tangible thing, rather than this idea that's been living in my head. And it's already started, putting the pen to paper, so to speak, literally, because I'm writing a book.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Yes. So I feel like that's finally happening, which is really nice. And I just want to do it in a way that feels grounded. And but yeah, it feels like I had to go through that weird experience at work to realize no, you don't need to put your heart and soul into a job, especially if it's definitely not going to serve you. And also be more discerning and look at the energy of the people who you're interviewing with before you even accept the job. And I feel like the last time I was laid off, which was fall of 2022, I was in a place of I just have to get a job. It felt very desperate, where in this year when I was, transitioned out of my job, I don't even think of it as a layoff. I wanted to leave, and it just, they paid me to leave. I'm what a great thing. So when I was transitioning out in the summer, end of summer, I was oh my God, I'm unemployed again, 2 years in a row in the fall. And I was no, I'm just going to do the work, the internal work. And I feel the past 3 months, I've been unemployed for 3 months, and until now. I start my new job on Monday.
Yeah.
Yay.
Exciting.
Yeah. And it feels like a really nice group of people, normal, seems like they have a work-life balance, if that is even a thing. But also seems like, the CEO who I will be supporting is very family-oriented, which I really like. And I like that he led by talking about his daughter first and then his son. So I'm oh, that's a good sign. Mm-hmm. And the woman who I'll be supporting is really nice too. And she has fun energy. And I'm just finally, like people who I vibe with, and like it felt like in the interview process, it wasn't like I was having to prove myself too much. I actually did most of the asking and just, find out about them. And I think I learned how to do that from not doing that, where I like felt like I had to showboat myself and like show off like, oh, I can do this, I'm capable of this, and like and then I realized like, oh, I'm really overextending myself, and then they keep asking for more and more and more and more, and I realized like, oh, I sold myself that way. Like they set the tone.
Yeah, well, there's no boundaries.
There's no boundaries.
Right.
We're going to 2024 with boundaries.
Yes, because once you don't set your own boundaries,
Yeah.
you can't expect people to respect that.
Right.
Because it has to come from within.
Oh, totally.
So, well, that's a great lesson.
Yeah, it's been a great lesson, and I feel very grateful that I've been able to have 3 months off, and like, my parents were able to help me with rent the past 2 months, and I'm like, that's like, I'm very grateful for that, because like not a lot of people are in that position.
So you weren't like desperate.
I wasn't desperate.
That you have to find it, or you'll be homeless and
Right,
stuff like
right.
that. So it wasn't so much out of survival.
Totally. And like I ordained, 2 weddings. My third one will be on Sunday. So I finally, after years of wanting to ordain weddings, I am able to do that. And I feel like that feels really good, because it's like, I think I'm now focusing on things I've always wanted to do, but I didn't, because I'm like, I don't know how to do it, or I didn't have a framework, or I didn't know what I was doing, or didn't believe I could do it.
Right.
And now,
so it's like the resistance and the limiting beliefs that we create around that.
Exactly.
But it probably happened when you were ready and open to it.
Absolutely.
And you have the time
to
actually dedicate to that.
Yeah. And I'm like, I want to do this for myself. I want to be able to facilitate weddings, and it is just like the funnest side gig. I don't even call it a job. Like, it's just a fun thing that I get paid to do, and it's like, it's really easy, and it's a beautiful experience for everyone involved. And I think like that's the type of like energy that I want when I am like working with people, if that makes sense.
Because it doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, because when you are doing things that you love, it's fun to do it. You don't feel like it's a chore.
Yeah.
To do it.
I'm excited to do it, and I'm like, like, hell yeah, I'll marry you. Like, I'll ordain your wedding.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that, life or the universe, it always brings us what we need.
Yeah.
And I know that, especially this year, there's a lot of setbacks for a lot of us. You see in the news, there's all these layoffs.
Yeah.
Companies going bankrupt. And all like this stuff.
Terrible things happening everywhere.
Everywhere, like all this tension going on. And it's really heavy stuff. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. So I think it is important to find things outside, even what you do on a daily basis, like say your job or your work, that, just something that will kind of bring you some happiness.
Yeah.
Or some joy, whether it be a hobby. Or something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh my God, this is so fun.
Yeah. Like, there's only so many episodes of Love Island that I can watch. And then, the season ends. And then I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? And then, Yeah, you got to find something, whether it be some movement, just going outside. You kind of have to create that space. Yes. And creating good habits for yourself. I think that can be really challenging. For the past month or so, maybe a little bit more, I've been walking almost every day in Golden Gate Park, and then doing the Ava Fitness dance videos. And I realized like, there's like a lesson that I'm learning here of like creating consistency.
Yeah.
Like that has been the most challenging thing. But I think as someone, like, people can be really impacted by the environment they're in and whatever they associate that with, whether it's their work environment, whether that's home, or whatever community that you're part of. And I think like my work environment was my dominant environment that was influencing my personal habits and like my views of myself. And taking a step back, and now that I've healed from that whole experience, I realized like, I wasn't like putting myself first at all.
Well, your identity also is kind of like wrapped up.
Yeah.
At work, I mean, granted, we do like spend more time at work than in our personal lives. If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Say if you work like 8, 9 hours per day, at least here in America, I don't know,
Right.
like,
We all
in other
can't
parts
be in the
of-
south of France.
Yeah, like, get, like find yourself with a 3-month vacation,
That would be nice.
time off during the summer. I would love that.
Right. Oh, I'm on holiday.
Yeah, I'm
Would
on
love that.
holiday. I'll see you like in 3 months.
Right, right.
Fabulous. But you do spend a lot of time at work, and or whatever it is that you do. Maybe you're a mom,
Right.
Maybe whatever
Like
it is.
like those are, I feel like I couldn't even, working at that last job, I'm like, I don't know how parents worked there.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, my gosh, I think being a parent is one of the hardest jobs that you can have. I mean,
Yeah.
and coming from someone, I mean, I have worked with childcare for over a decade. I don't know how they do it.
yeah.
This is the most challenging. You need help.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's just like, you go insane.
Cuckoo.
Yeah. But I think that just finding spaces, you have to create for yourself. You
Yeah.
can't like expect like, oh, next month, it's going to happen
Right,
or
right.
when this happens. So it's just kind of having to create. And I think that's the hardest part for people. It's finding the motivation to do it.
Yeah.
And then being consistent and disciplined.
And believing that you can do it, and then you just take action. Because
Yeah.
I think like there's the ideation phase, and I think I was stuck in that place for so long with my creative projects. And like, I think you really inspired me with this podcast. You're like, I see us doing this, and I'm like, finally a partner. Like I can do this with him. And then,
Sometimes we need a little push, right? Or a
Right.
little nudge.
right, exactly, or like just feeling validated and recognized. So very grateful for you for that. And like it's nice when you do have a partnership that you can collaborate and be creative. And I think that inspires me to just be like, well, what else? It's like, especially this year, like, what else can I be creative with? And like, oh, do I want to do things like, with other people? Like I'm working on a tarot deck, and my friend Brittany has agreed to be the artist for that.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
See, but it all starts with the desire, right?
Exactly.
An idea.
Yeah.
And it will keep nudging you.
Yeah.
Just kind of pay attention to that.
Yeah.
What is it that it's coming for you? It's been coming throughout the years, and it's going to come.
totally.
And until you take action,
Yeah.
it's going to keep poking you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're going to always think it's going to be living in your head rent free. And like, you're always going to be thinking about it. And I made the decision to take finally like inspired action, because I'm like, I don't want to always be thinking about like, what if I did this? Why didn't I do this? And like, I don't want any regrets of like not taking action or trying.
And we are here for such a limited amount of time.
Totally.
If
Yeah.
you think about it, I mean, I wish I could tell people you do have more time, but no one
It's not guaranteed.
no one is guaranteed of
Yeah.
that. And all you have is this moment. Well, what can I do today that is going to contribute to my future self to be
Yeah.
like, look back and see like, wow, thank you, past
Right.
self, for doing this.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be something big. It can be something like small steps. I think small steps for a lot of people, they probably work best, so people don't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Or feel that is something that is impossible to achieve. But talking about like nudges, for me, what came up this year a lot, and it kind of like it's trying to trickle in, I would say like last year, there were things that I had to work on.
What exactly?
And for me,
did you have to work on, or did you want to work on them?
I mean, it was both.
Yeah.
I don't think I wanted.
Right. Whoever wants to,
who,
right?
who wants to look deeper into their own issues? It's like, resistance. I don't want to look into that. But the beginning of this year, I had pneumonia. And, I've always been quite healthy, I want to say, besides like the occasional cold or,
Right.
that I would catch like here and there. I've never had like major medical issues to the point that I had to go to the hospital. I mean, thank God, I've always
Right,
been
right.
like in a good space. And I ended up with pneumonia, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, like,
you know,
you never think it's going to happen to you.
until it happens.
Yeah.
But it happened. But for me, it was an opportunity that was one, my body was sending me a message
Yeah.
that I needed to look at that space of the lungs and the heart. And that kind of coincided also with me also, you know, when we had that hypnotherapy session with Laura. And you can listen to that episode. I'll link it in the show notes below, where it all came down to me looking at my heart space. And there was still a lot of memories and issues around like my childhood and things related to how I carried so much resentment and anger in my heart. And it's weird because it was kind of like that next layer, you know, it was kind of like that, you know, inner layer that I really had to address and take responsibility over, realizing that people in my life in the past, they had toxic behaviors, but I also carried toxic behaviors myself. And some things that
We
you
all
know,
do.
we all do at some degree, right?
Right.
And I was not very proud of it.
It's
And
like
now
giving yourself grace.
grace and compassion,
Yeah.
just to look at it, it's like, gosh, you know, I didn't know any better.
Right.
So you just kind of have to go into space where you forgive yourself. So for me, it was like really digging into that. And it's really hard.
Oh, yeah.
It was
it's
really
not fun
hard.
stuff
No,
to
not-
like admit to yourself.
That you're like,
and-
oh gosh, you're a bully, you know,
Right,
like that type
right.
of thing. And it's not a great thing to recognize. But
Right.
at the same time, when you acknowledge that, it can be very liberating,
Yeah.
you know, not to be in that energy anymore. So for me, that was very cathartic.
Yeah.
Just going through that process of looking more into my heart space. This, you know, because people talk a lot about self-love, but I don't know if people really understand what it is to be in the energy of self-love
Yeah.
and giving that self-love to yourself. And I wish I could say, oh, light a candle and going to the bathtub, have a warm bath. I mean, these are great
some
things.
Epsom salt
This
and
is great. This is
lavender.
great self-care
Yeah.
tips, right? Like, you know, go for a walk. But really digging into the space of self-love, it's really having to define what love is for you. How do you receive love? I think for me, that was the most important.
Yeah.
Like being open and how do I receive love, but also like how do I process love into my own space?
Right. And like every part of you, like, because we all have shadow and light. And I've also been doing some shadow work this year. And like, when you are in that space of like literally taking a mirror to yourself and wholly looking at it and trying to look at it from as like a neutral perspective,
Yeah.
you might not like all of the shadows that exist in
But
the
it's all
room.
part of you.
But it's all part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So it was important for me to acknowledge that part of myself. And
That's powerful.
yeah, and start to integrate that,
Yeah.
you know, into my space. And for me also this year has been a lot of transitions. I would say the word for this year, for me at least, is
Yeah.
transitions.
Oh yeah, we'll probably title the episode.
Yeah, transitions. It's
yeah.
been a lot of transitions too, where I was working at a certain job and I've been working for a few years. And then now I came to a space where I'm not at that job, kind of like your experience, and then moving on into something else, and now like being more in the space of my own business. What do I want that to look like? What's the next step that I want to take? And that takes a lot of digging again.
Yeah.
You know, really dig into yourself. What do you like? What do you want? What do you need? So it's been tough. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
It's challenging, you know, because you want to have the answers for all of this, and sometimes the answers are not like clear, or like they're like right there, ready.
well, it's kind of like you have horse blinders on sometimes when you're going through that experience, or you're like, you might recognize like, oh, this doesn't feel right, or like I don't like myself in this situation or this environment, or like I feel triggered and then therefore I behave a way that I usually don't want to behave, or that's an old way of me thinking or talking to myself. Like for me, like just as an example, like I'm very critical, like hypercritical of myself. And so when I recognize like I'm going into patterns of like picking apart my body or picking apart like, oh, I need to like, why aren't you doing your creative projects or whatever, like that, like, horse and whip type of the punishing energy. Yeah. And it's very invalidating. And I recognize like, oh, why am I going into those like self like talk tracks? Like this doesn't feel good. Like I'm not being kind to myself. I'm not practicing self-love when I am doing that. So then I realize like, oh, I'm matching the energy of whatever is externally around me. Or I, got triggered by a movie I saw. It can be like as heavy or light as it needs to be. But it's just like when you do recognize that you're going through that, I think that's the first step.
Yeah, that is the first step to healing. Yeah, same for me. I also went through a lot of the should self-talks. Like I would see people that are very successful in this field that I work in. Oh, they are doing this and that. Oh, I should do this too. I should create more videos. I should create videos like this. I should. So always the should. And I noticed that the other night I was laying down and I was like, gosh, there's so much information that I keep like bringing to my space and shooting, must do it myself.
Yeah.
And that didn't sit well with me.
It's like too many hats and you only have one head.
Exactly. And the hats don't fit my head.
Right. Yeah. None of it feels right.
None of it matches what I kind of, my personality and myself. Yeah. But I felt overwhelmed with all this information from other people. And I've recognized that like right there and then. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to dump all this in the trash.
It, yeah. If it's not serving you, it's like...
Just move it out.
Because it's like information for other people.
Great for them.
Great for them if it works.
Because that's the thing, like, as humans, we compare.
Right.
It's a natural thing. You compare to others, and then you kind of like... Then you start going to the should. Oh, I should also do that.
Right.
If they're in the
like,
space.
Oh, it works for them. It might work for me. And then you feel like required to like operate that way.
Yeah, exactly.
To like be successful.
Yeah. And I kept also like looking at it like in the space of then having to force myself to do things, because I kind of caught myself think, well, I should record more videos for social media. And honestly, I did not feel like recording any videos.
Right.
Like I didn't feel inspired. I didn't feel motivated. I didn't feel like I had anything to share. And then again, like I just allow myself to step back and just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Not to feel like you have to do all these things.
Yeah.
And just trust that whatever comes to me. So another theme, I think that's kind of the sub theme.
Yeah.
What happened is trusting.
Yeah.
Trusting my own information, my own energy, trusting that things, they will unfold exactly how they have to.
Yeah.
Not because how I want it, but how I need it.
Right.
Because I recognize that universe, or whatever you call it, source, has a much higher intelligence than I do.
Oh, totally.
And knows what's best for me. But the hardest part for me with the trust is that the surrender. That is hard.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot of talk about surrender, and there's part of me that's kind of like 50-50
yeah.
with the surrender part. That's kind of like the half feet is in it, but the other one is kind of not.
It's practicing trust.
It is. It is like comes with the trust.
And then you can be in your relaxed girl era.
Exactly.
That's the era that I'm in. Like
2024.
2024, we are in our relaxed girl eras. Like trusting the universe, trusting that things are going to work out for us. Like that's my goal. That's my intention for next year.
For me, I also would love to be the smooth girl era.
I like that.
Yeah. Transitions, everything flows smoothly.
Love it.
With ease. Whatever it is in your life, it's just smooth.
I like that. Smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing from here now.
Yeah.
From here till
She's the captain of her smooth sailing ship.
I'm sure I am. Putting my captain cap.
Yeah. I have one. You can borrow it.
Oh, amazing.
You can have it. I have 4.
Okay, parade in 2024.
Yeah.
But that's, hopefully will be the energy to bring into 2024. But yeah, 2023, I would say it's been like a whirlwind.
Yeah. Not in a great way.
No, I mean, there's been like a lot of parts of it that's been painful, but it's been great. And
Good for growth.
Yeah, good for growth and
Yeah.
learning and just noticing that you're shedding all those like layers.
And like things that you have previously tolerated that you're no longer tolerating. And
Yeah.
I think that's the most beautiful lesson that I personally learned. Like, I'm not going to let anyone treat me the way that I was treated. And like, hell no. Like, nope. Like, dust my hands off of it. Like, my boundaries are here. Like, and I'm just like in my own energy.
Yeah, well, it feels empowering to
Yeah.
be in this type of energy. And again, it comes with work.
Yeah.
Comes with inner work and finding things that inspire you to also be in that space, because it's easy just to conform.
Yeah.
You're like, nah, it's fine. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to make others uncomfortable. But again, you always have to think, well, does this serve me?
No.
If the answer is then no, then it's time to take some intentional action
Yeah.
around it.
Totally.
And you might need support around that.
Yeah. And it can be hard to like one recognize that something's not serving you, whether it's something that you are doing for yourself, whether it's like a habit that you want to change or improve on, or get rid of completely, or if it's like a dynamic between people or a work environment or a living environment, whatever that means for you. And one like recognizing like something feels uncomfortable in my body. That's typically like my first sign. Like if I'm like having throat issues, I'm clearly like my 5th chakra might be blocked.
Yes, the message.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the body is always the first to recognize when something is off.
Or like
and you're always going to feel it.
Yeah, like gut issues, stomach issues, that like usually correlates with like 3rd chakra identity, how you're running your energy.
Personal power,
Yeah.
how you're taking energy from others.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the body is very wise.
The body knows.
The body knows it. It sure does.
Checking in on a physical level to kind of make it tangible, and then like really doing some reflection work of like, what is upsetting me? What doesn't feel right? Like the vibes are off. They're not vibing. Like what is not vibing, and like how can you make sure that it's in vibration of where you want to be? But you also have to make sure that you're in vibration of where you want to be.
Yeah. And again, it comes to the trust.
Yeah.
Trusting that the information that you get, that is what it works best for you. But it's interesting because in order to be in that trust space, you kind of have to do it and then be able moving forward to recognize that moment, like, oh yeah, that how it felt when I trusted myself. So it takes practice.
Right.
It's just like exercising.
Exactly.
You have to practice. You need to develop that muscle. But talking about recognition, I also want to reflect, because it's been a year since we launched this podcast. And,
over a year. Yeah.
We had our 1-year anniversary in September.
Yeah.
And I feel very accomplished.
I know.
That
how cool are we? No.
I know, we're so cool.
Yeah. No, but it's really validating because I think it's like shows commitment. Like for me, I have a Gemini moon and a Gemini Venus, so I can be a little bit of a flighty person when it comes to like, or just malleable with like changing my interests and like not being consistent with myself all the time. And I think this podcast has been like a very grounded thing of like, I'm committing to doing this because one, I love it, brings me joy. I get to hang out with one of my best friends and talk about things that we love, and hopefully that inspires other people. And I think it's been like a really amazing experience so far.
I feel the same way too.
Yeah.
Tito. And again, I've mentioned in the past, for me, it's been a very healing experience.
Yeah.
Just to be able to talk
Yeah.
and express myself and talk about things that I don't know if I would have talked to others. you know,
Yeah.
like, and again, just having someone like you that can hold space, and
Yeah.
I trust, again,
No,
trust,
totally.
you know, someone that I
My
trust.
favorite thing.
Yes.
Like
right.
talking about really deep rooted
Or like random things.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
yeah.
being
It's,
bold and courageous
and just speaking your truth. I think for me, the healing aspect of it has been very liberating, because I have been working the last few years. I was gonna say, pretty much my whole
Yeah.
life. Yeah, let's be honest.
just the last few years.
That's the last few years. Just like be very nonchalant about it. But it's been a lot about self-expression.
Yeah.
And I think self-expression also correlates to being authentic to yourself. And again, trusting yourself, trusting your own information. So it's been a gradual process for me, because I am someone that, and if things needs to again like happen gradually, smoothly. I think my body also needs to adjust to all these changes and all these things. So it's been like a gradual process to be in the space. And it takes a lot of courage
It
to
does.
put yourself like out there, because we record this podcast for you guys to listen, but understand we're also social media too. So Shannon and I, we record videos where we're talking.
Some of them are silly.
Yeah, they're silly, they're funny, and we do skits and we do all this fun stuff. So it does take courage to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how like influencers do it. Like, to be very honest, like
I don't know
they,
either.
like posting multiple videos a day.
Oh my
like,
gosh, it's a full-time job, guys.
And then I think they get trapped like in that dynamic. I hope that they're okay. Influencers, I hope you're okay. Like
sending you love,
and respect, because it's crazy.
It's a full-time job, and it's the weird part about it is that even though you're making this content to, whether it be to promote yourself or it might be fun, but there is also, it comes with external validation regardless.
Right.
There is this portion that you need the likes, you need the engagement, you need people to share to kind of, for things to also take off.
Right.
In a way. So there's this aspect. So it's complex, I want to say.
It's very complex because like, for us, like me doing the work of like, I've been doing a lot of work internally on I don't want external validation anymore. Like that's not driving me. It was driving me when I was like dating for years in my mid 20s, early 20s, hell, even my late 20s. But like that was like really, and for me, I'm like, I've done a lot of work on like not needing external validation through that whole experience. So then when we're coming up with this, like the whole game of this is that you need that external validation of those likes and like people watching and views, like all of that is all external validation.
Yeah, and it comes with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that doesn't influence this aspect of the social media marketing, because it is still a crucial part in promoting yourself.
Yeah. And then there's also the external invalidation.
Yes,
too.
absolutely, because people are not so kind.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, I believe we do have a great community.
Oh, yeah. Luckily, we haven't
but
experienced
there's
anything
always
crazy.
people, they're not going to be in tune or not resonate with this work
Right.
that they feel like they need to voice themselves. And
Yeah.
that's all right. People can say whatever they want.
Right.
But not everyone is kind and will give us constructive feedback. So I think it's also, you have to be in a space where you're so connected to yourself and just so true to yourself and true to your intention and goals,
Right.
that none of this affects you.
Yeah.
Or at least not as much.
It doesn't impact your personal, like, internal world
Yeah.
of, like, your
or thinking
your
that you're not
perspective of
worthy
yourself.
because
Yes.
of someone's comment or negative comment.
Yeah.
So you have to be discerning of that. I mean, and again, but you're human at the end of the day too.
That's a great idea to do an episode on worthiness. And
Yes.
like, in that, especially in that space of like you being like not to say we're public figures, but like when you're putting your artwork out there, and like when you're an artist or a creator or content creator or, influencer, like you are putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and it's probably what keeps people from actually putting their work out there.
Right,
There's the fear.
Yeah.
Fear of judgment, fear of criticism. What are people going to say
Right.
about it? So we want to empower you.
Yeah.
If we can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Trust me.
It's doable. Like, you just have to be like internally motivated and like really want to create this for yourself. And our whole goal is like, let's do it for ourselves. And like, then maybe that'll inspire other people to like do other things for themselves and see that it's possible. Like, we're, two normal, just psychic girls next door.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
doing a podcast.
Yeah, and we wanted to continue creating for next year, 2024, and bring more guests and have more fun conversations. And if you have ideas and suggestions for us on topics or even guests too, we're open.
Yes.
Send us an email. You can DM us on social media too. But I hope everyone will have a great holiday if you do celebrate, but a great end of the year and an even better year.
Right.
And a fabulous 2024. And we'll come with more episodes next year.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. And we are excited to move into the new year. We hope that you are having a wonderful time this holiday season. Take care of yourselves, prioritize self-care, whatever that means for you. And we will see you on the next episode and in the new year.
Hooray! Bye-bye.